Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
Alex, I would like to start this podcast this week with a shot of True Vodka. You want to do a shot of True Vodka?
I think I finally lost the hangover. I think by tomorrow I'll be good to go.
We recorded this like 15 days ago. You were still hungover?
For whatever reason, I as I walked out of that apartment that night, you asked, do you want to take any of these with you? And I said, sure, I'll take the Schwarr beer. Yeah. That's not what it's actually called, but that's just what I've taken to calling it because
they really missed opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I tried to have one just like one night, like with dinner. I won't ruin any relationships we might want to have with these breweries, these vendors moving forward.
You can ruin that one. I feel comfortable saying you can ruin that. Whatever Phillies player collaborations that they churn out in the future will just have to not be a part of future taste tests.
I mean, you know what? They called it a tailgate beer. And so that's on me for opening it outside of a tailgate because you shouldn't do that.
Opening it in your home.
Yeah.
In the comfort of your own home, you're cracked open a tailgate beer.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was really proud of coming up with sipping pitches.
That was amazing. It was sitting right there in front of us the whole time.
I know. I don't know if a listener might have said that before I wrote that as the title and like incepted it into my brain. That's a real possibility. And if you're that listener, shout out to you, homie. Appreciate you. I feel good about that title, and I feel good about it as a recurring piece of intellectual property for us.
You want to do this again?
Yes. Oh, are you kidding? Right. It was like our biggest success by a mile.
That's true. I mean, we only got about half of the products that we set out for.
Yeah. And presumably there will be more in the future. Right? More like a Castellanos beer.
Yeah, probably.
A Bryce Harper milk that we can throw in there.
I want that Bryce Harper milk.
We could do a White Russian with the True Vodka and Bryce Harper raw milk.
Wow. Have you ever had a White Russian?
Nope.
I saw The Big Lebowski once as a kid and was like,
how old though? You as a kid,
like 13.
Okay, all right. 5 years old, crushing the little Big Lebowski. Like, Mom, I don't get any of these jokes.
Those were my first words. I was like, my mom was like, "You look so cute," and I was like, "Well, that's just your opinion, man."
Just a huge Jeff Bridges fan. Just a great fan of his work.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna do this again. So if you're not on board, good thing Matthew Robertson definitely is.
I'm on board. I'm good. I'm good to go. I saw some listeners writing in after the fact on the proper way to use Liquid IV.
You didn't do it. You could have just asked me, dude.
What?
You could have asked me how to use Liquid IV.
I thought the instructions on the packet were good enough.
What? The instructions on the packet told you to drink it before a night of drinking? I would be very surprised if that were the case.
All right, fine. That's fair. A little user error in that.
A little bit. And by the way, Liquid IV is like not it's in fact maybe even one of the worst brands on the market for this type of thing.
I know, but I had it here. You know, it was like
around.
It was already
in the crib.
That was the most important criteria for me taking this. It was what can I scrounge up in the 10 minutes before I leave here? Exactly.
I could have given you some when you got here. Could have given you some Noon. That's my preferred brand. No free ads, but they've gotten me through some tough times.
I also have some like blocks, like little cubes that you'd like drop in water.
Yeah. That's what Noon is.
Don't know. Oh, maybe I have Noon.
Yeah. Maybe. He's walking away. Listeners, he's walking away from the microphone. He's back. That doesn't look like Noon.
No, it's water drop.
I like how you have your background blurred for me, even though we were just on FaceTime and it wasn't blurred. Like, is that for the video listeners at home?
This is from when we were. I don't know. We must have had someone else on.
We were on an external call.
Right.
We were actually in talks to sell to Wondery, and then unfortunately didn't quite work out.
I love it here. I'd simply love it here.
I had plans on telling a story from my family's Mets tailgate last weekend to start the podcast, but I couldn't pass on the opportunity to invoke the true vodka here in the cold open.
I think this is a worthy victory lap. Look, I had a great time. I think it was good content.
I think it was excellent content, and I think that the amount of people whose names I'm about to read in the new patrons segment also agree.
Is proof of that?
Yes, is proof.
Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding. Can I quickly regale you with a story from my family's Mets tailgate last weekend?
Please, yes.
Frankie Montas started. That was a tough break for all of us. The Mets got blown out.
Okay.
Not what you want. There was a lot of, is David Stearns actually a fraud conversations flying around. My cousin, who is much older than me, he's technically my mom's cousin, but as you know, he organizes the tailgate. He's an unhinged individual in many ways.
I can confirm this.
One of those ways is that he thinks Juan Soto is not good at baseball. The reports on the street from the elder generation of Mets fans is that the next 14 and a half years are going to be tough.
What is there rationale behind it? Like, is there sort of a well thought out thesis as to why Juan Soto, despite his years of success, the money forked over to him, that he doesn't got it?
He's not a winner.
It's more of a feel thing.
He's not a winner.
Exactly.
Yeah. I bet you didn't even consider that. But we're not here to talk about Juan Soto. The story that I wanted to tell you is that, as you know, we do a little raffle at my family's Mets tailgate to recoup some of the money that is put out to bring the food and just for fun as well. And there's different levels of giveaway prizes associated with the raffle. There's like framed photos, there's bobbleheads from previous years, there's jackets, t-shirts, any number of things. And there's a 50-50, we won it one year. We decided to take it and do karaoke. This year, I did win something at the Mets tailgate. Okay, it was a jersey, a real on-field style jersey, like the expensive one. Okay, number 66. And the back of the jersey said Ridings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listener, you might be wondering, who is number 66 Ridings on the Mets? I was wondering the same thing. Lifelong Mets fan. I watch easily 120 Mets games a year, which is not good for my mental health.
Right.
No idea who this was referring to. A quick Google search revealed that it was referring to Steven Ridings, who came up in the Mets farm system, grew up in Huntington, New York. Never made an appearance for the Mets, though did pitch in 5 games for the Yankees in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have that jersey. And I feel like probably I should wear it to the Kansas City meetup.
What are you didn't get any more backstory on where this jersey came from? Okay.
He just threw it at me.
Right. Not the type of venue that typically gives out like authentication cards or histories of where this product came from.
No.
What would have that? NFTs. You can see exactly what
I thought you were going to say the marketplace of ideas.
Well,
there's always an authentication card associated with our takes in the marketplace of ideas.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Steven Ridings, Mets legend. So if you see me at Citi Field wearing a Steven Ridings jersey, please feel free to come up and say hello.
This is a good one. This is like, I think the kind that would get you shown on a broadcast. When they're like panning around the field and they're like, we got some real ball knowers here.
Yeah, a guy who never made his debut for the Mets.
Exactly.
But pitched 5 games for the Yankees. I was on the Mets broadcast once. I was wearing a Tom Seaver jersey.
Do you have proof?
I do.
You have a screen grab?
Uh-huh. This is how I know you're not online anymore. I was tweeting about this when it happened.
When did this happen?
Like a few weeks ago.
Oh, like recently?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fuck.
It's nice being a niche influencer. You and I were just talking about this yesterday. The perks are small but mighty. Like
I got to turn on tweet notifications for you. I think
you
that's what
really
I have to do.
don't. You really don't. Although I've had some that have been starting some discourse in the last week. I'm not
You
giving
always
up.
are.
I'm not giving up on the Everything app. I was part of a whole discourse cycle about the movie Weapons,
Yep.
which is people are really sharing their strong opinions about it.
You want to share your thoughts on Home by Edward Sharp?
I already did on Twitter.
Oh, you already did? Good look at that.
Go check it out. Suggest you like and subscribe. My thoughts are, I just got that song out of my head, and now you guys are all putting it back in. Thanks a lot. Okay, we have a grab bag episode, as if you couldn't already tell. Some loose topics that we're going to try to touch on. Alex has some interesting, thought-provoking questions that he wants to ask about Stu Sternberg's tenure as chairman of the Rays.
Like, do you have to hand it to him?
He's also going to do a line-by-line recap of Rob Manfred's appearance on Pardon My Take. But before we do that, I am Bobby Wag.
I'm Alex Baisley.
And you are listening to Tipping Pitches. Okay, thank you to this week's new patrons. Strap in, Alex. This week's new patrons are Kane, Nate, Grant, Talia, Jason, Adrian, Jackson. That's two people, Adrian and Jackson. I know I made it sound like one name. Tyler, Jacob, Lucas, Jeremy, Ransom, Megan, Elliot, Ben, Emma, Matthew, Lex, Ali, Savannah, Joe, Alfredo Linguini from the seminal masterpiece Ratatouille is subscribed to our Patreon. Cheyenne, Cody, Melvin, Cal, Jack, Mikey, Jameson, Peter, Kath, Dante, Larry, Kevin, Joe, Owen, Jessica, Seth, Aficionado, Ian, A. Wright, Nicholas and Nick, back to back. How about that? They coordinated it in the group chat. Kendra, Clay, Matthew, Christian, Arno, Sedant, Hazel, and Wilson. That's a lot of names. That was a lot.
Too many names.
No,
Don't
too
many.
say
Too
that.
many.
Not enough names.
I'm just saying, we spread it out. Can you guys unsubscribe and then resubscribe so
Stop
we have some names?
Telling people to unsubscribe from the Patreon. I really quickly, I just want to share quite a heartfelt thank you to all of the people who subscribed.
Oh God, are you going to get sincere now?
To listen to part 2 of Sipping Pitches. Maybe you used the Mike Piazza promo code Piazza for 50% off 1 month of the Alex Rodriguez VIP Club tier to check out part 2 of that. Maybe you upgraded. I didn't even read the names of the people who upgraded. There was a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even have time to include them. This was just new patrons. It really never ceases to amaze Alex and I. This type of stuff that motivates you all. You know, we felt really good about the episode, but we had no idea that there would be like 50 people who would sign up for the Patreon just to listen to that episode. But we put in a lot of effort into that, despite how silly it seemed and felt and probably sounded to all of you. And we appreciate that it was rewarded in kind. We hope to do just many pieces of great content as Alex Rodriguez would like us to in the coming weeks, months, and years. And by the way, that promo code still active through the end of August. So if you haven't signed up and you're checking out Sipping Pitches, but for some reason you're listening to this episode first, you can still go sign up. Patreon.com/tippingpitches.
What's that code? Piazza?
Piazza. Piazza.
It's a good name.
It's fine. It's all right.
I had a great time doing that. It was a lot of fun, as I think I remarked to you after the fact. It's always very funny to me when, we do these amazing historical deep dives, these, we'll put, a well put together, thoughtful show, whatever it might be.
Like, here's everything about Marvin Miller's influence on the labor landscape in American history.
But sometimes the people yearn for Kalidad beer. That's just how it is. We strive to give you what you want. So if you liked that, I suppose we'll keep it coming to the extent that my liver can handle it.
Your liver's fine.
Yeah.
Once, twice a year? I mean, come on.
It's easy. Frankly, at this point, that's all my body can take, really.
We don't think we should bump it up to once or twice a quarter, sipping pitch. No, we got to keep it as a special occasion.
Mm-hmm. I do worry about us running out of products. There aren't that many.
Well, we can recycle new ones, see if they've improved the quality.
Should we start seed funding,
Like every dollar we make from the Patreon, we put towards like Luis Torrens launching a
right of like a botanical gin or something like that. Yeah,
a botanical gin would have been nice.
I know.
Can an MLB player invest in something that I actually want to drink?
Mm-hmm. That's our call to action for you, for all the baseball players listening to this right now who are kicking around an alcohol brand in their head.
I think the next one that we do will be very wine forward, because
Probably.
I only was able to acquire one of the wines, but there was like 5 or 6.
It'll be a different
on my
vibe.
list. Yeah, but maybe not as fun.
We
will have to get that Chipper Jones moonshine.
That's true. You know what No, wait, we did drink the Presidente, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did we? All right, just making sure.
Yes, dude.
Like a few days afterwards, I was like, oh, I think we didn't drink the Presidente, but I think there are other reasons that I thought that.
We had 3 beers in front of us at once, so you'd be forgiven for not remembering exactly the specifics of any of them.
I appreciate you giving me that cover.
You're very welcome. Okay, before the grab bag of topics, and before Alex's love letter departed my take, I did want to remind people. That in less than 1 month's time, we're going to be in Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas City, Missouri, at the Kansas City Royals game, doing a Tipping Pitches meetup on Saturday, September 6th. We have been fielding survey responses of people who want to come over the last few months. Many people have already paid us for their tickets. If you would like to come, number one, or maybe if you even responded to the survey and have not yet seen a follow-up email from us, I would suggest you check your spam folder if that's the case for you. But if you hadn't responded to the survey and you decided that you do want to come, tickets are $39 per ticket. We are on the field level. We are all together. I have all the tickets already. I have them all. I'm happy to send them to anyone who wants to come still. There's plenty of them, and we can even add more if we need to. It just seems that many of you maybe didn't get our email with the instructions to pay. So I'm just going to keep reminding people over the course of the next 3 weeks. After that, I'm just going to give up on you all. Just email us, tippingpitchespod@gmail.com. Say, hey, I want to come. Or, hey, I signed up to come and didn't receive an email. And I will get that taken care of. I will share the instructions for how to pay us and how to get your ticket subsequently. I've forgotten to do that reminder for the last couple weeks. I hope that you all can forgive me. I had bigger things on my mind last week, like the big hurt. FT35.
FT35. I'm getting really excited for this, Bob.
I want to make sure that everybody who wants to come can come.
Mm-hmm.
That's my solemn promise to you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people coming. Many of you are coming. I'm very excited to meet everyone.
Feels real. We just booked our flights, booked the hotel.
That's true.
We're locked in. It's happening. We're going to Kansas City, baby.
My Marriott Bonvoy card. My Marriott Bonvoy account is going hard. Bonvoy. Thank you for being a Bonvoy member. That's what they're going to say to me on or about September 4th. All right. Grab bag time?
Yeah, let's do a baseball podcast. Let's talk baseball and all the myriad lack of things that have happened in the last couple weeks.
Here are some topics. Here are some things that have happened in the last few weeks. Here are some topics that I've written down.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Bristol Motor Speedway debacle.
Mm-hmm.
There's the general, I think, kind of like dust settling from the trade deadline, which we can or can't talk about. That's fine if you don't have anything to say about that. The New York teams now suck. They're 2 of the worst 4 teams in baseball, and it is inspiring, frankly, hilarious discourse. Although painful for me. There was an article in the New York Times Magazine about Stu Sternberg and his legacy. Rob Manfred appeared on Pardon My Take, the only podcast that you're subscribed to besides ours. And Roman Anthony signed a 8-year, $130 million extension.
6 years.
6 years.
Or no,
8 years.
8 years.
Dude, I knew it. 6 didn't seem right, and there's not enough buyout of the team control. Which of those is appealing to Alex Paisley?
I think let's start with the Motor Speedway.
Okay.
The Bristol Motor Speedway marquee game.
Would you like to read the prepared statement that you have apologizing for the whole food situation, which you were in charge of the logistics of?
I was in charge of logistics of. It was my first
Not
day.
enough
I
buns.
royally fucked it up.
It's because a hot dog bun packet only has 8, but a hot dog packet has 10, and you didn't do the math right.
Exactly. And I was frantically going to IHOPs being like, can I just get the pretzel bun from your MLB ballpark bites? I need the bun so bad.
This is such a hat on a hat on a hat at this point. I don't even know what we're talking about. This didn't go well. It didn't go well.
Mm-mm.
MLB seems to have somewhat dropped the ball, although I think if you asked them, they would probably say it's not necessarily on them to operate the logistics of concessions at a place that should be able to do this and regularly has to do this for NASCAR races. But reports from the day indicated that perhaps there was not enough concessions to last throughout the baseball game. And part of that was because there was a rain delay. And so they actually only got to play like an inning. And then there was like several hour delay. And that was tricky. A lot of people were posting jokes about like their obstructed view, which people knew going into it. I mean, it's a NASCAR speedway. It wasn't built to host a baseball game. It's a novelty day.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if this takes the shine a little bit off this kind of idea for you. Is this sort of thing happening in the future really contingent on them being able to do a good job at it?
I mean, yes, I do think it is, right? It is very emblematic of the kind of high risk, high reward nature of these, quote unquote, like spectacle games. People loved the Field of Dreams game, right? People loved the Rickwood game. I think it's fair to say not every single one of these events is going to have the same level of interest from fans. But I also think that this felt a little different from those in that there wasn't a clear tie-in to baseball. It was not we're doing this because of what this field means to the history of Major League Baseball or anything like that. It was more just like, let's put it in a cool location where you may not usually watch baseball, but there isn't really much baseball in this region anyway. And so we're going to be able to break the single game, regular season game attendance record with like 91,000 fans. We're going to be able to say we played a baseball game in Tennessee. I am under no illusions that I think that every single time they do something like this, you're going to get this marquee, like historical event. I do think Major League Baseball kind of needs to be prepared for a rain delay. I don't know. It is.
They should put a roof on Bristol Motor Speedway.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Although not using Mark Attanasiou's contractor, that's for sure.
Yikes. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that it's the kind of thing you do need to be ready for. You're playing a game in the summer in the South. You have to be somewhat okay with the fact that it might rain. And if you're not prepared for that, if you're not prepared for beer sales, I don't know. That kind of falls on you a little bit. And so it's not surprising that, when they resumed the game the next day, for most of the game, it was like 8 innings worth of a game or something like that, that about a quarter of the fans showed up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think I probably would have done the same.
Yeah.
And said, yeah, yesterday was kind of a bit of a mess. I don't know what it's going to be like today. I got my view. I got my pick. I was a part of a historic night. I'll go ahead and move on. So I don't think this bodes poorly necessarily for these marquee events going forward. I don't know. I just think that the planning probably needs to be a little bit better. And I don't think viewership was great either. Like, I'm
Did
not
you
really
watch?
a TV ratings guy, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, me either.
It's a Braves Reds game.
Good take.
Like, I don't know. I'm okay.
I think that it's gotten a lot of comparison to the Field of Dreams game. It's also gotten less comparison to the Rickwood game because fewer people know about that. I think, which is actually a shame because I think that the Rickwood game was the best execution of this that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Realistically, I think that it functions and the purpose of it is closer to the London game, where the Field of Dreams game is like a boutique, like you're talking about, relevant baseball history game, even though it's like a fictional baseball history. The Rickwood game was a freakishly timely game given the death of Willie Mays, but also a game that was being organized in conjunction with the Centennial, the Negro League's Centennial. This feels more like a novelty grow the games type of event.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to the Field of Dreams game or you're going to the Rickwood game, chances are you're already a baseball fan. They're looking for NASCAR fans. In London, they're looking for soccer fans. That's why it's happening at Bristol. That's why it's happening at Wembley. Although it's not at Wembley, right? It's at London Stadium.
In London Stadium, yeah.
So I think it's like a slightly different thing, but I think that also means that like it kind of has to work.
Right.
If this is your first engagement with Major League Baseball in person, and granted, like in Tennessee at Bristol Motor Speedway, I would say that most people are probably not. This is not their first experience at a Major League Baseball game, but maybe, then it has to be a little bit better than this, and it can't be this different from what baseball is actually like. I'm pro playing in weird places. I'm pro letting go of the sort of like rote traditionalism associated with much of regressive baseball, the world of regressive baseball fandom. But I think someone comes away from this like less likely to be a baseball fan.
Yeah. Right.
It's like if your first ever live concert is at an arena and you have bad weather and can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Are you going to go
and
back
you're like,
to a concert?
maybe it's not for me.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably not. So it's interesting that like we find ourselves in this time in baseball history where there's all these like bells and whistles associated with coming to the ballpark because they're trying to tap into people who are maybe more casual fans or maybe more family oriented. And so you're looking for things that are a little bit more entertaining to people under the age of 18. And then they also put like a lot of chips in the center of the table over this one idea that ends up crashing and burning.
Well, and I think that they are probably also looking at someone like the Savannah Bananas who are able to sell out these huge stadiums, multi-purpose stadiums, and saying there clearly is an appetite.
I actually didn't
here.
consent to talking about the Savannah Bananas. That wasn't on the list that I read, bro.
I know. And this is not
You're right, though.
a take or a judgment on them, but I think they are recognizing, hey, there's appetite here for this. Even in these places where there's not consistent baseball, there's enough people who would be interested if our show came through town. But I don't know. There's a razor thin sort of margin for error. I recognize that some of these are just logistical hurdles that it's hard to completely plan for. But you want people's first experience with baseball, if it is their first experience with baseball, to be a joyous one. Rain delay aside, like you want the hot dogs to have buns. You want the nachos to have cheese.
What else do you want?
Spencer Strider. That way. I want it that way.
I don't know that we've ever had one conversation about Backstreet Boys.
Like on pod?
Off pod either.
Even off pod, yeah.
Did you listen to them? growing up? I did, but I was more of an NSYNC guy.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I was not a huge Backstreet Boys or NSYNC guy. I'm not going to lie.
What were you doing
me
instead? Watching Salad Fingers?
I said, kind of, yeah. Listening to the Camp Rock soundtrack.
Oh, okay, so you're like not above a boy band.
No. It just, I think that I didn't necessarily have some of that exposure, but I got there eventually, by the time high school rolled around.
I think that one piece of it is that you're the older sibling and I'm the younger sibling. So I had an older sister who could get me into NSYNC and Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. And you were kind of like, I'm a little behind on that.
Right.
Is
I
it
was
worth
like
catching up?
trying and failing to get my brother into Fall Out Boy.
Your brother doesn't like Fall Out Boy?
I think I think these days he respects it enough, but just not back then.
To be one room over from the world's biggest Fall Out Boy fan and not get it.
Not
Shocking.
get it.
Shocking news.
My talents weren't appreciated. How did we get here?
We were
Backstreet
talking
Boys. Oh,
yeah.
I want it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good take. The last thing that I'll say on this, and then we can move on to another grab bag topic, is I think optically, while I'm not trying to be pure, like I said, I'm not trying to be puritanical about where baseball can or can't happen, who can or can't go, who should or shouldn't go, et cetera, et cetera. I'm pro trying more stuff like this. I earnestly, I'm not even trying to be an asshole like I usually am on this podcast. I just ultimately what it comes down to is you're trying to shrink baseball in other places and grow it with this. And I'm confused by that. What's going on with the minor leagues, guys? Mm-hmm. Actually, minor league baseball is the lowest friction entry point to live baseball, period. You're obsessed with the Savannah Bananas. You had the Savannah Bananas the whole time in minor league baseball, but it's actually good baseball.
Right.
Unlike whatever's happening over there on TikTok. So it's just logically inconsistent is what I'll say. Mm-hmm. Okay. You chose to talk about Bristol Motor Speedway, which you always are. I can't get you to shut up about NASCAR.
I'm just always fucking talking about it,
Can I talk about the Roman Anthony extension for a second?
Yeah, do it. Go off.
I have a really strong take about this.
Okay.
I'm a little bit worried. And here's why. Boston Italians are weird. Giving them Roman Anthony for 8 years is going to give them a certain type of power that I'm not personally comfortable with. They have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove.
Yeah.
They're not New York. They're not New Jersey. They're not represented by the films of Martin Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola. They're represented by the films of Ben Affleck. I just think some of that annoying Yankee fan energy might trickle upward now. Mm-hmm. Not enough people are talking about whether Roman Anthony and his Italian family, who are from Florida, by the way, which is, again, a New York Italian pipeline, not a Boston Italian pipeline.
Yeah.
Not enough people are talking about whether this is going to, blend different chemicals in the beaker of Italian Americanism that we're not ready for.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Okay, so 8 years, $130 million. I don't care. Whatever. Left value on the table. Whatever. Generational wealth. Don't care. I'm here to talk about whether or not this is going to make the debate over who has the real Italian food too spicy. What do you think? You're wearing a Red Sox hat as we speak. And I've given you honorary Italian status from our years of friendship. Please weigh in.
I think you're asking the right questions.
Thank you.
Frankly.
Yes. Thank you.
Get this man on MLB Network.
Me and Greg Amsinger, a guy who I definitely know who that is.
I don't have a lot of history with Boston Italians.
Me either. I just went there for the first time a couple months ago.
So it's a little hard for me to say. I don't want to slander anyone. I don't want to speculate, get out over my skis on this. Because I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Yes.
We know
what happens to Italians when they get out over their skis.
I don't even know what that means.
Rising fascism. No, this is we can actually talk about Roman Anthony now. I just wanted to get that out there.
I love when you always shock me with the take, because I was like, I know that Bobby has a take about this. I know he's got feelings about 8 years, 160 million or whatever.
8 years,
130.
130.
130. Yeah.
First it was 6 years. Now it's 8 years. First it was 130. Now
There's
it's 160.
there's a 1, an 8, a 3, a 6 in there somewhere in some order.
With escalators, it can go up to 230. That is really drastic.
That's a lot of escalators.
My
Maybe even more of an elevator.
Yeah, but it's like so aggressive that it's one of those elevators in one of those big New York buildings where you don't even get to press the floor.
Right.
The algorithmic elevators where you press you tell them what floor you want to go to and it tells you what elevator to enter.
Right. Or like a is it like a Hudson Yards elevator escalator or something like that, where you're like, whoa, this is pretty steep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is good elevator chat.
This is good elevator chat.
The elevator in the in the World Trade Center, but you didn't think this is where this conversation was going.
I didn't, but let's do it.
Less than 30 seconds to get up to floor 72. Less than 30 seconds to go 72 floors, Alex.
Are you saying, when you say in the World Trade Center, do you mean
the current World Trade Center?
Okay. All right.
I'm not weighing in on any World Trade Centers past, just the current one.
That's remarkable speed.
It's freaky is what it is.
It's freaky.
And
we weren't meant to move that fast.
I would get up there and I'd be like, time to do some pods.
I'd get up there and be like, time to go back down.
I didn't like the height of it. Whenever I would get close to the wall of windows, it would give me vertigo. However, it was quite a beautiful view. Quite a beautiful view. Strange to be above helicopters.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, 8 years, 130 million for Roman Anthony. My real take about this is that the Julio contract has changed a lot of things.
Okay.
Meaning teams, I think, broadly want to keep their young stars around. If all things were equal, take money away, we'd like to keep our stars. We'd like to keep our best players. And most players, maybe a plurality, not a majority, are comfortable with the idea of sticking around for a long time in the organization they came up with. That they know it. They have had success there. It got them there. The fans are really engaged in their career from an early stage. It's genuine. We know these things to be true. It used to be that you expected the players to take a hometown discount. And then the pendulum kind of swung back where it was like, oh, why should they take a hometown discount? The team should offer competitive market value.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I kind of hoped for a long time that it would swing all the way there and it'd be like, everybody gets their Bobby Witt contract. Everybody gets their, Fernando Tatis contract. That kind of hasn't really happened. And I think Julio's contract is the most solidifying version in my head of that fact, where the pendulum swung back a little bit more towards the middle. It's like, yes, we will give you a big contract. We'll give you a contract that is generational wealth. However, it has all of these escalators, performance-based incentives, all of these opt-outs, opt-ins, so that basically functionally it's the same thing as not having a contract at all.
Right.
It's kind of like we just don't want to do arbitration. So this is the contract that we landed on. It's as confusing as arbitration. It's just agreed to ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and I think there's something to be said for that, on both parts, right? On Roman Anthony's side, you're not going to have to go through 3 years of sort of acrimonious bargaining over what your literal value is. And for the Red Sox, this is easier to plan around, right? You understand what that future cash flow looks like.
Right. You insulate yourself from lima bean futures tanking.
Right. Exactly.
Soybean, right? It's not lima beans. It's soybeans.
It is soybeans. Yes. Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mean, we're going to talk about Stu Sternberg in the Rays in a minute, but I also think it's kind of interesting. The Red Sox are an interesting example where they are right now with Craig Breslow at the helm of sort of towing the line between the team who values future wins as much as present wins, right? Of saying, I'm willing to give up a star in order to gain back something that I think will be valuable in the future. But not to the point where they're not willing to put down any roots at all. You know, the Rays are not really handing out contracts like this.
Well, with one notable exception that had a sort of unpredictable outcome.
Yeah, didn't end the way anyone wanted it to.
No,
I think. But I don't know. This is why Breslow is just such an enigma to me. You know, like I think that's where I come down on this. Is I'm sort of like I literally have no basis on like
Breslow
how
is like your Lou Reed. You know, like it just you can't pin him down.
I can't wrap my head around him or anything he does. You know, and I suppose maybe it's the kind of thing that is going to take a few years to shake out. I'm willing to, I suppose, give him some level of benefit of the doubt that you can't judge all these moves from day one. But I don't know. I think, is he our new Jerry Dipoto? You know, where he just does stuff?
I mean, notable given the comparison to Julio's contract that I just made.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the difference is that Roman Anthony's like much earlier in his career than Julio was when he got his deal.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm willing to be a little bit more judgmental. I think that in my mind, the Red Sox are operating with such an advantage that like you have to grade him on a harsher curve. Like the Red Sox are the Red Sox. People want to play there.
Yeah.
They have more resources to operate with. They've already won the World Series, and so their risk tolerance should be higher. Like a lot of different things that are baked in. Fenway is a money machine. Great crowd. Like you always have that. You have a weird, slightly competitive advantage to the fact that the ballpark is different than everyone else. There's all these different things in the sauce there as to why the Red Sox should always be competitive. Like it should always be trying.
Yeah.
And they're just, for whatever reason, a very volatile franchise. They've never really had sustained periods of normal success. Obviously, since 2004, really since like 2002, they've been good more often than not, and very good when they have been good. But they've also done inexplicable things to the team.
Yes.
In that time period. And I don't really feel like I've ever got an explanation as to why. Like, why are you guys why is the sky falling? You're the Red Sox.
Yeah.
It should be just fine and normal.
Right. Why are you trying to nibble around the margins?
Yeah.
And make these little like 2 steps forward, 1 step back move. It's like you have the luxury of making a mistake, of making a wrong call.
But I think that the answer to that simply must be the most obvious thing, which is that this is how John Henry wants to operate. And I think it could be answered by like a scene in Moneyball, frankly. Like, why was he the guy who wanted to hire away Billy Beane? You know? I'm curious about that. Why does he
I don't
operate
know, and end up with Theo Epstein, right? Like he clearly values a specific type of baseball thinker that does not fit the mold of
the cutting edge thinker.
Right, exactly. The one where it's like, well, you can spend money if you need to, but I'd rather you find a better solution first.
Setting all that aside, I think it's good. I think it's a good extension. I think it's cool when young players sign to be there for a while. Good for them.
I mean, it's clear they are building a foundation too, a youth forward foundation, right? Between Crochet and Campbell and Raphael, like they're locking their guys in. And so I suppose from a fan's perspective, I'm not going to speak as a Red Sox fan, despite my cap. But like, there's some level of buy-in there. There's some level of commitment of like, okay, maybe these guys will be around for a few years, which is like not nothing.
My feeling is always like, what's the next step though?
Right. I know.
Because once you have these guys where you know what to expect from what the cost is, that also demands a next step. You can't win a team with just this core that you've now locked the price in. You also have to do something beyond that. So you give this contract because that means now you know you have a fixed thing that you're spending for these players versus I might have to spend more than this in arbitration, or I might lose this guy because I've let his service time run up and now I don't want to spend the premium price that comes after that.
Yeah.
So now you actually have to, again, this is half the work. Half.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a little bit of Braves flavor to it also, right?
Yeah, except seemingly less exploitative.
Right, well.
One way or another. All right, next topic. Is this where we talk about Stu, or do you want to share your observations from part of my take?
No, let's talk about Stu. Let's talk about Stu Sternberg. The Manfred stuff is just one or two things, but I think it ties into this conversation.
Oh, okay. Did you listen to the whole episode?
With the Manfred part, not the Baker Mayfield part.
Oh, Baker Mayfield was on?
Uh-huh.
Cool. You know who that is, right?
Yeah, I do. And Alex Caruso, who I don't know who that is.
You don't know Alex Caruso?
Enlighten me.
That's NBA champion Alex Caruso. 2-time NBA champion.
Okay. If you say so. Stu Sternberg. Owner of the Tampa Bay Rays, though not for long.
That's right. What's the name of the new guy? Patrick Zalewski.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna have to beat that one into my brain.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. I almost feel like we need the Zalewski. Zalewski? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Zalewski.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a big DeSantis guy, you know?
That's what's interesting about that to you. That you think they have some compelling ideas going over there, or what?
No, that he's a motherfucking has-been. No, I think it's interesting that we're getting an owner who has the sort of political ties, which I think, if we're being honest,
part of the reason he got the team.
Is part of the reason he got the team, and part of the reason why Sternberg has struggled over the years, right? That political capital, like it or hate it, matters in this day and age when you're trying to build billion-dollar franchise valuations and get people to your team and build out the real estate arm and all this sort of thing. But the reason we're talking about this is because there was this long feature in the New York Times Magazine last week called "Is He Baseball's Most Brilliant Owner or a Failure?" It's by Bruce Schoenfeld. And I'm not just going to read the article and say, I think it was good or bad, but I think it raises a lot of really interesting considerations about his tenure. And I'm particularly interested in this idea that while Billy Beane, gets a lot of the credit for the A's and their trajectory and role on Moneyball, Sternberg, who's not a GM, right, but is an owner, has kind of been the counterbalance to Beane as like the other way of doing this. I guess sort of off the bat, I'm curious, what do you think of Sternberg legacy, right? Because this feature has a lot in there about how he obviously adopted a lot of these cutting edge sabermetric oriented ideas, oftentimes to great success, right? They have been one of the winningest teams in the last decade and a half, basically, but never had the marquee ballpark, never had the throngs of fans, and have not won a World Series. So what is your kind of like, I know we've like shit on Stu Sternberg a lot here, but zooming out a little
I don't feel that way.
Okay. All right.
No.
All right.
No, I feel like we've been exceedingly fair to Stu.
I mean, I think
over
so.
the years. Exceedingly fair.
Yeah.
What is Stu Sternberg's legacy? Great question. Good but never great?
Mm-hmm.
Like always good but never great?
Yeah.
I think that his biggest impact on the future of baseball was the idea of hiring 1 million front office people. Like the Rays, even though they spend the least, they've always had the largest staff when it comes to the front office. He was willing to allow whatever Ivy League mathematician that was filling the role of Rays GM or president of baseball operations to say, I want this, I need this, it's cutting edge. Stu said yes. I think that there's something admirable about that, because I'm not closed-minded to the idea that there are many different ways to experience and advance baseball in society. And that one of those ways is being unique and innovative in the way that you play. Like the Rays, I think, are the reason that the overshift happened. The Rays are the reason, they were the first one to try it in the most aggressive way.
Right. Deploying openers, like these weird things like that.
Yeah, piggybacking starters. Like a lot of the stuff that the Rays had started either in their minor league system or were the first ones to try it out on a major league system. And they're not the only team, there were other teams, but the Rays are most often credited with people leaving and going to try new experimental things in other places too. Like without the Rays, do we have the Dodgers as like they are right now?
Mm-hmm.
Or are the Dodgers much more like do the Dodgers operate as sort of the East Coast Yankees, where they're like, okay, we have all of the money and all of the built-in advantages, but we sometimes struggle to do the little things well. And I even think the Rays have had a unique impact on the Yankees organization too, in the sense that the Yankees have just been trying to become more and more like them to create better return on investment. I think all of that is true, but I think it leaves me cold.
Mm-hmm.
The Rays organization leaves me incredibly cold. I think that they've had fun players along the way, but I don't think that their particular organizational style encourages fun players.
Yeah.
I think that they have had good teams that are not fun to watch. They have had playoff runs that don't stick in my brain because the stadium is bad. They don't have a signature moment. The closest thing that they have to a signature moment is and this is not their fault, right? It is 2020, the Randy Arozarena
Yep.
tripping, running around third, then scoring the winning run, and they ended up losing that World Series. They came close. You have to give credit where credit is due. That was a very good, very, very good baseball team.
Yeah.
It's narratively simplistic to say that they were foiled by a better team that spent more money than them, but we have said that multiple times on this podcast. I just wonder what it was all for. What the aggressive we don't spend mantra and mentality really gave. Because I don't get the sense that the winning and innovation happened because let me say this. Many people feel that the Rays are only as cutting edge because of the limits they put on themselves. That they would never think or have to try some of these things if it weren't for the fact that they didn't have the money to get better players or didn't have the money to get players that cost more, whether they're better or not. This is the central tenet of Moneyball that has been progressed into whatever the Rays do now. I just don't agree. I think that they could be a lot better if they did what they're doing now, and then in addition, paid more money for players who are obviously good. Now, you can look up and down the league and you can say, I don't want to pay more money for players who do skills that are not sabermetrically, that are not necessarily, that do not necessarily fit in my conception of what is sabermetrically valuable. Like maybe the Rays don't sign Pete Alonso, and maybe the Rays don't have enough money to sign Juan Soto, even though they were willing to offer him a ton of money for 3 years. That was the most aggressive that they were willing to go. But there's a whole spectrum in between, power hitting first baseman who's bad at defense and literally Ted Williams at 25.
Yeah.
And the Rays just, frankly, if I'm looking at Stu Sternberg's track record, were never willing to play in the middle of those two things.
Yeah, they did. Well, they didn't want to compromise on their strategy, right? They were never a team based on fan service. Feels like putting it lightly, right? But if a player showed up well in a defensive metric, in the article, the example is Jose Molina, right? Great framer as a catcher, but hit 200 throughout the year, right? And made fans pull their hair out. But they were never going to get the guy who was a little bit worse defensively, but was easier to like for fans, because that's just, they were not interested in that angle.
This is going to border dangerously into eye test territory versus actual stats to back it up. But I look at the Dodgers organization in the last 10 years, who are run by the most successful and probably best Rays executive that there was. For all you want to say about what Eric Neander has been able to do in the last 5 or 10 years, it really actually pales in comparison to what that first generation of Rays success looks like, which made it to the World Series against the Phillies, ended up losing, but some unbelievable players to come out of those teams. Better than any players that have come out of the Neander teams, frankly. And I think about what the Dodgers have done. They have made more quote unquote inefficient moves.
Mm-hmm.
more moves that like, and of course they have the flexibility to do that because they print money, and they're owned by one of the world's biggest investment banks. But like, they've made more inefficient moves even when they didn't have to, for things like team chemistry, for things like reliability of the individual that you're bringing in. They bring back Kike Hernandez all the time, even though he's not good, but there's actually something there. They know the manager trusts and knows how to deploy him. And I just see that. And I think if they hadn't been so rigid, if the Rays had not been so rigid about what does and does not work and what is worth it and what is not, I think that whether or not they would have won a World Series, I can't say. But what I can say is I think that fans would have come out of it feeling a little bit more like the organization did right by them. And I don't think that very many fans feel that way because they haven't kept anyone around. And there was this predetermined feeling that every time a player got good enough or too good, that they would just be traded away.
Yeah.
Or let walk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were a masterclass in like competitive efficiency, right? Extracting the most value out of each dollar that they're spending. But that's just fundamentally at odds with fan loyalty. Like, fans are not thinking about future wins as being equal to present wins. They're not thinking about how you're managing to keep win totals high and keeping costs low because of the roster churn. Like, you get attached to players. You like your guys. That's half of the enjoyment of it. So I don't know. I end up having like a really hard time evaluating his legacy and what the space is for him or someone like him in baseball, because so what you said at the beginning, I think it's probably good that not all 30 teams are trying to construct their roster in the exact same way. Sternberg also, for all of his, let's say, anti-labor movements in putting together his team, also directly flew in the face of this idea that small market teams are at an inherent competitive disadvantage, right? And you need fans in order to put a good product on the field, in order to get fans. It's like he was sort of operating outside of this ecosystem that I think Rob Manfred and the 29 other owners would have you believe, which ruffled some feathers. I think a lot of owners are probably glad to see him go. There's this idea in the article that, some of the more well-heeled teams were frustrated that they were effectively subsidizing the Rays' success, right? Running this meager payroll and still finding ways to win. So I don't know. It's a weird legacy to evaluate. I don't want to give him too much credit.
I find that quite ironic. The last point that you said about the 29 other owners.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you can be mad that you were subsidizing his behavior, but on the other hand, you were constantly trying to imitate it.
Right.
So how much credit should I really lend to that argument? Like, everyone was constantly being like, we need to be more like the Rays. We need to be more efficient. We need to hire more people in our front office. We need to get more cost-controlled guys. We need to get more relievers who throw fucking hard and then burn out. Look at the league. We have 30 Rays.
Yeah.
30 teams are the Rays. Just to varying degrees. How good are you at doing it is how good you are as a team. The Rays created the current marketplace of value for players. So, like, forgive me if I'm not like totally psyched about your argument that like you're mad that you were subsidizing the Rays. You should be mad about subsidizing the White Sox. You should be mad about subsidizing the Pirates. You should be mad about subsidizing, prior to the last 2 years, the Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm. The A's.
The Rockies. The A's.
Yeah.
The Marlins. Like, and granted, you can be mad about subsidizing the Rays too, but like, don't try to imitate it then.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is what they're.
You can't be mad about the Rays succeeding in a small market doing it how they are, and then also mad about the Padres succeeding in a small market doing it how they are. Like that, it's logically inconsistent because they're mad that people are spending money and aren't spending money.
Yes, I know. Well,
there's a secret third amount of money that you're exactly supposed to spend, and no one knows what it is.
I know. Well, and this is when you peel back the layers of this and the various interviews that they've all given, it's like the logic does start to fall apart, right? Like Friedman himself is quoted in the article as being like, yeah, he kind of threw a wrinkle into this idea of competitive balance that is not helpful to the overall quote unquote narrative, which I think is an interesting thing for a front office member to say and acknowledge that. I mean, Friedman speaks as someone who is on the wrong side of that narrative largely and has a vested interest in debunking it. But it's true. It's like, if you actually examine it, it just feels like a kind of logical fallacy. Do you want teams to succeed or not? What's the goal? What's the goal of owning a baseball team? What's the goal of putting out a baseball team? Is it printing money? Is it getting fans to the ballpark? Is it winning? Maybe it's a balance of all three, but not every team is going to take the same path to ending up there. And I don't know. I don't think you can really be that upset when another team does something differently than you. I know it breaks your monopoly on the sport, but like,
yeah,
get a better monopoly.
The last thing about Sternberg that I find interesting is that I think most owners, given truth serum, would say like the point of baseball is for us to make the most money that we can. Like winning is fine, happy to win, but only if it's, I'm not going to operate my team like Steve Cohen. I'm not going to spend money to win whatever it costs. There is the threshold that I'm willing to go to. I find it interesting that like Sternberg tried to run his team like that and failed. Mm-hmm. I don't get the sense that the Rays have been printing money for him.
No, I don't think so.
And because no one goes to the games. And I also, he never got the stadium that he wanted. And I don't get the sense that like beyond the normal tax haven benefits that an MLB owner, that any billionaire gets by owning anything in this country, he wasn't getting that much out of baseball beyond just like, it seemed like he wanted to win, and it seemed like he wanted to build the team in his image. Like, let's find the edge here. And that's weird because there's not a lot of that going on in the rest of baseball during the time period that he was an owner.
Yeah.
And he maybe didn't do as many things to like maximize the profit margin of the team. He was more focused on seemingly the number that the KPI that he was interested in maximizing was expenditure, not even not even profit. Like
dollar per war, effectively applied across his business.
Yes, and that's odd. That's odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it cuts against the grain of what the rest of the league was doing in that time period.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I mean, maybe we can get to the Manfred interview and pardon my take, right? Like I think this is a decent pivot because he has a couple quotes.
And here to talk
that
about it is Big Cat. Thanks for joining us, Dan.
You can't do that to me. I'll walk right now.
Walk where? You're at home.
I don't know. I don't even know where to go. Doesn't help. I'm recording this with one of those headsets with like the InSync headset, so even if I walk away, I'm still going to be mic'd.
That's right.
It is interesting in this New York Times profile, right? Manfred is like, yeah, like teams. What does he say? He says every baseball team has to balance the desire to win on the field with the business side, which largely turns on building fan loyalty, et cetera, fans get attached to players. And so he is like kind of being a little critical of the Rays model in saying like, you have to balance these two things. Winning is not getting you everything. You also need to build relationships with fans. In the Pardon My Take interview, he gets asked about owners that are not trying to win, right? That are not putting a competitive product on the field. A team like the Pirates, a team like the Rockies. What do you do with something like that, right? And his response is, I can't tell you it doesn't look that way sometimes. But in reality, it's a very rare circumstance where an owner doesn't want to win. The fact is, people don't buy teams just for the business or to make money. They buy them because they want to compete, because they want to deliver a winner to their community. What we need is a structure that gives them a better opportunity to do that in all of our markets. So then why do you keep talking about franchise valuation? if it's not about building wealth, I mean, I get that like valuation is somewhat a reflection of like how many fans are buying tickets and buying jerseys and whatnot. But like, it's very clear that Manfred does not want to give up the game, right? Like he's obviously not going to come out and say, yeah, you are about maximizing profit. But it is this sort of weird thing when you have to speak to the Rays and the Pirates, who run very similar payrolls and are doing very different things. And it's hard to explain that discrepancy, I think, like rationally.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just like, he's just a really good liar, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like in that very lawyerly way where the first thing that you say sort of disarms the other person to what you say afterwards because they feel like they need to respond to the next thing, not the first thing. Like, hang on, let's backtrack a little bit. What did you just say? Yes, it very much, people do buy the team just to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is provable, easily provable.
Yeah.
I mean, there are several teams right now in your league actively not trying to win. So then what else is left?
Yes.
You would have me believe, I mean, what he would have you believe is that they're trying to not win right now so that they can set themselves up for the future better. But I mean, we're going on 25 years of this with the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
We're going on 25 years of this with the Rockies. Again, provably not true.
Right. Well, it's like, okay, so if you've been trying to win and you're not winning, then you're not trying very hard. Then you should be doing something different, right? Then you should be spending more money to try and win. You should be like taking a different approach as opposed to being like, well, you know what? It'll work one of these days.
And like what they always ignore, like what owners ignore, what Manfred ignores in engaging with this idea of like spending more money doesn't necessarily mean winning. Spending more money does signal to fans that you're trying harder.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the easiest way to prove to fans that you're trying harder. Some fans are brainwashed into being like, well, why would you spend that money on this player when you could have spent it on a better player? But most fans see signing a good player, whether or not it's good ROI or good dollars per war, as a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we like get ourselves sort of tied up in the specifics of what that actually leads to and forget the fact that like most fans just want to see good players. They go to the ballpark for good players.
Yeah.
And the other piece of his statement being like, yes, with regards to the Rays, yeah, if you can't keep a player around, then it's hard for fans to feel like they have like this steady connection to the team. But the Rays don't do either. They don't keep the good players that they have, and they don't sign good players.
Right.
They presume that the next crop of players that they develop will be as good as the last one, and that's their model.
Mm-hmm.
That's different than the Pirates, and that's different than the Rockies. The Pirates don't know that the next guy is going to be as good as Paul Skeens. In fact, history would prove to you that they're usually not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yet Yankees fans are already salivating at the mouth. He had one other quote that I want to read to you that actually I should have maybe started with this because it feels a little more illuminating, but it's also about sort of teams not spending, baseball's financial structure. You know, they talked briefly about a salary cap, or they talked around it. But, you know, on the point of what do you do about teams who aren't actually really spending the money to try and put out a winner? He says, let me put it this way. I think it's usually a mistake to focus too much on the owner when it seems like they aren't trying. More often than not, that's really a product of the system they're operating in. Okay. I do believe it's incumbent on both us and the union, for the sake of our fans, to create a system where the incentives are always aligned to make teams look like they're doing everything possible to compete. That's a really important goal for everyone involved in the game. And that felt sort of weirdly revealing to me, especially in terms of a salary cap or a salary floor, or like, you know, make teams look like they're doing everything they can to compete. That's not what I'm interested in. I would like them to compete and do and I'm under no illusion that all 30 teams are going to compete at equal levels every single year. I actually, if you're not trying to compete, I don't need you to look like you're trying to compete. That's okay. I'd rather know. It felt, I don't know. It spoke to this what Manfred is looking for in the game, which is like, we just want everyone to feel like their team is in it.
Yes. It's about
which sentiment. Like, I don't know if that's the right approach.
Well, it's a very like consumer survey coded response where it's like,
Yes,
we need everybody to feel like they have the right sentiment so that they feel good about going to the ballpark to spend money, so that the franchise value keep going up. Like, and look, more credit to put the part in my take guys for asking about the Pirates and Rockies at all, whereas like most of these interviews are just, but that's sort of like planned opposition in a way. Like you're throwing him somewhat of a softball that he can address and then move on and talk about whatever other stuff.
Right. Well, he has his answers for these. Right?
What kind of answer would you have for the question of not 5 years ago, or I guess it was more than 5 years ago at this point, man. Where are we at? We're so young. Less than 10 years ago, Bryce Harper, the generational star that you guys put most of your chips into the center of the table for, all of your eggs in this basket, when he was 15 years old, hit free agency and 2 teams wanted him. What would you say to that? Why did that happen? Because your answer about teams feeling like they're competing or fans feeling like teams are wanting to compete doesn't actually answer that question.
Yeah.
And that's why fans are mad. Because they're like, why the fuck is my team not trying to sign that guy? Not even trying to sign. Not signing him. We're not even setting the goal that high. We're just setting. Did they offer him a contract? Did they have a conversation with Scott Boras? Most of the time it's no. And fans are not stupid. They know this. They know that the Royals didn't reach out to Scott Boras to try to sign Juan Soto. No shade to the Royals. Like they're not one of the bigger offenders here, but I'm not trying to just pin this on the Rockies and the Pirates because that's an easy thing to talk about. That's an easy, okay, we have 2 bad apples. No, we actually have like 18 bad apples. I mean, we can start talking about sentiment when we have teams that are actually trying.
Yeah.
Not just trying in convenient ways.
Well, this is why it's so fascinating that Sternberg is the owner who has been effectively pushed out, right? Like strongly encouraged to sell the team. This is the sense that I got, right? Which is not the case. I think you could have made a very clear case that Fisher is as good of a candidate, if not a better one, to sell the team, right? Because
way better
like I think it's there's just a way better argument there with what he's doing to that fan base, which Manfred apparently cares about, right? He cares about fan loyalty and not burning it or something, or so he'll say.
I mean, well, those fans are all Giants fans now, so.
There's just another baseball team to watch. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a testament, and this comes up in the article about Sternberg, right? But it's a testament to the fact that baseball would like to be operating with the rest of their ilk, right? Like a guy who comes in and is maybe going against the grain is not that interesting to them. Even if John Fisher is tanking his brand's value, he's still doing it in a way that is relatively palatable to the rest of the league, I would think. Despite all the anonymous comments about how frustrated people are, you still approve the vote to Las Vegas. Yeah. So I don't really know where this leaves us.
I'm genuinely curious to see what the next commissioner is like. Whoever that ends up being.
Yeah.
Because
it seems like it's maybe a little bit of an open question right now.
Yeah. Because I think that there's room between what we're talking about where like a commissioner is like in our world would be like, oh, a commissioner doesn't exist or whatever. Like owners are not here. There's room between that and what we have now, which is like the commissioner is so beholden to the owners from decades and decades of history, from coming up under an owner who was the previous commissioner who groomed you for this role, from being a labor lawyer, from all of these different things that make Rob Manfred particularly suited to act the way that he does, spineless as he is.
Yeah.
There's room to be better than that. There's not room. I'm not naive. I'm not going to be like, yeah, the commissioner's going to be based or whatever. But there's room for a commissioner to be like, you guys are actually leaving money on the table. Grow the game by investing more in it now. Spend money to make money. That actually, for a brief period, might be a twinned incentive with what fans actually want. Spend money now make money later because you create fans for life. That's like, we're asking for that. We're asking for like the bare minimum to clear that bar. And for the entire time we've been doing the podcast, 18 to 24 teams have not been doing that.
Yeah.
There's room for growth there, I think. I think there's a little bit of room for growth, frankly. And I don't know whether or not the next commissioner will do that. But I think that this is the time to do it. Because the competition for people's screen time or for people's entertainment dollars is just getting more and more competitive.
No,
you know,
goddamn TikTok generation.
The TikTok generation, the Tipping Pitches Patreon. I mean, people don't have money to be throwing around for Brian Reynolds jerseys.
Right. Right.
They got to come listen to Tipping Pitches Part 2. So you better come correct, Manfred, and your successor. All right, that's all I got.
That was good. I enjoyed that conversation.
Thanks.
It's been a couple episodes since we've
gone on a labor rant.
Gone on a labor ownership rant. It's good. Back to our roots.
Maybe Manfred going on PMT was just trying to grow the game. He's trying to reach an audience of mostly white males between the ages of 24 and 42. You know, like, this is the demo we need. Mostly white right-wing males between the ages of 24 and 42.
Grow the game.
And that's why they invested in John Boy Media. I was walking past a bar the other day and I saw John Boy on the TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blow up.
It was the YouTube video of him interviewing Aaron Boone on television at a bar. And I was like, wow. Bleak things are coming.
I'm putting a moratorium on my own John Boy opinions for the next few weeks. So
that wasn't an opinion.
No, it's true. You're right. It was
bleak things are coming could be about anything.
That's true.
The fact that there was YouTube on the bar TV at all, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's John Boy. It's like, what are we doing?
You should have sent them our YouTube link.
Yeah. Get a little audiogram playing silently. No, I should have
sent the transcriptions on there.
The private Vimeo link,
right?
Of our video feed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
All
right. Thanks everybody for listening to another episode of Tipping Pitches. If you like what you heard and you need more, there's more over at patreon.com/tippingpitches. There is, of course, part 2 of Sipping Pitches from last week. There is, of course, many episodes of 3 Up, 3 Down. There is, of course, movie watch-alongs. There's all kinds of good stuff. 42 bonus episodes in the back catalog. If you sign up for 1 month, you get access to all of them. That's just a great deal. Maybe too good of a deal. Who knows? But we're willing to give that to you, listener, for the low, low price of $10, which is 50% discounted right now if you use code Piazza. How much do they have to pay, Alex? You take 10?
50% of that?
Yeah.
So, so 10 times 50 is 500.
Uh-huh.
Divided by, carry the 1.
Yeah. It's like a slugging percentage thing though. So then you have to multiply it by 4.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know how I got to 4,027. I think I did. I think I missed some math here.
Please sign up for our top tier at $4,027 or $5 would be fine too. We appreciate any and all support. We'll be back in 1 week's time talking about Lord only knows what. We'll see you then.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping Pitches.
Tipping Pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping Pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!